Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling some vocabulary.
Ooh, exciting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at the Oxford 5000 list. This is like the ultimate hit list of essential English words you got to know.
Yeah, if you want to, level up your English game.
Exactly. So we're diving into Group 17 today, and we're going to be dissecting words 481 through 510.
That's a solid chunk of vocab right there.
30 words, to be exact.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you might be thinking.
Hit me.
Vocabulary. Isn't that a little dry?
Yeah, some people might think that.
But trust me on this one.
Yeah.
We're going to make these words come alive, okay?
Yeah.
You'll be throwing them around in conversation like a pro in no time.
Okay.
So first up, we got dedicated. Now it's more than just, liking something a lot.
Way more. Think of it like this. Someone who's dedicated is totally committed to something, a cause, a task, whatever. They pour their heart and soul into it. Like, imagine firefighters working tirelessly to put out a huge fire. That's dedication right there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or like an artist who spends hours and hours in their studio just perfecting their craft.
Totally. Or you could even say, like, this library wing is dedicated to local history. See how it shows a specific purpose.
I see that. So dedicated is like the adjective, and then dedication is the noun form, right?
Spot on. Like, his dedication to his studies was inspiring.
Yeah.
It's all about that underlying drive.
Oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, so how about deed? This one feels kind of old-fashioned to me, like something out of Shakespeare.
You're not wrong. It does have that formal vibe, but it's still useful. It's like describing any action, but usually something big or memorable, like her heroic deeds during the war saved countless lives.
Yeah, or like his kind deeds earned him the respect of the community.
Exactly. And of course, you can't forget the legal stuff. The deed to the property was signed and transferred.
Oh, yeah, right. So it's not just about legal documents. It's like any action that really stands out, good or bad. Okay, now deem. This one's all about judgment, right?
Yes, you got it. It's like when you consider or judge something in a specific way, like the court deemed the evidence insufficient to convict the defendant.
So it's almost like making a formal judgment.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, the committee deemed the proposal to be too risky. It's all about making a call based on what you think.
Interesting. Okay, this next one always trips me up, default. I always mix it up with defect.
Yeah, those two can be tricky. But think of default as like failing to do something you're supposed to. Like, he defaulted on his loan payments.
Oh, okay, so it's not like a defect, which is more like a flaw.
Exactly. Default can also be like that pre-selected option you get, The default settings on the software are usually fine. It's like, what happens if you don't choose anything specific?
Right. Like, if you don't pick a payment method, it'll just default to your saved credit card.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like the fallback option.
Yeah.
Okay, now to clear the confusion, what about defect? How is that different?
Well, defect is all about a fault or imperfection. Like, say you buy a brand new phone, but the screen has a dead pixel. That's a defect.
Oh, yeah. That's annoying. So it's a problem with the thing itself.
Exactly. Like, the product was recalled because of a manufacturing defect, or the car had a little defect on the bumper.
Okay, got it. But defect can also mean, like, abandoning your country or cause right.
Oh, yeah, good point. Like, the athlete defected to another country for better training.
Interesting. So many different meanings. Okay, let's talk about defender. This one seems pretty straightforward. Someone who protects something right.
Yeah, exactly. Think of like superheroes, defenders of justice or defenders of the environment. It's about standing up for someone or something.
Right. And in sports, it's pretty obvious. The team's defenders struggled to stop the other team's offense.
Makes sense. So defender is the noun and defensive is the adjective, right?
Yeah, like he was acting very defensive when I asked him about it.
Totally. It's all about protecting yourself or something else.
Okay, moving on. Deficiency. This one sounds like something you don't want to have.
True. It means there's not enough of something important. Like a vitamin D deficiency can lead to all sorts of problems.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. Or like, the school had a serious deficiency in funding for its arts program.
Yeah, exactly. It can also be like a lack of a certain skill. Like their biggest deficiency is they can't communicate well.
So it could be about physical things or even skills and stuff.
Right on. Now, deficit is similar, but usually refers to money problems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like we hear about budget deficits all the time.
Yeah, like the government's got a huge budget deficit because of low tax revenue, or the country has a trade deficit because it imports way more than it exports.
Okay, got it. Deficit equals money troubles. Now let's talk about breaking the rules. That's what DeFi is all about, right?
You know it. It means to resist or refuse to obey. Like teenagers defying their parents' rules or protesters defying unjust laws.
Yeah, it's like standing up for what you believe in.
Totally. It can also be about overcoming something difficult, like the athlete defied all odds and won the championship despite being injured.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. Okay, this next one is a bit tricky. Delegate. It can be a verb and a noun, right?
Yeah, it can. As a verb, it's like giving a task to someone else. Like the manager delegated the project to her assistant.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But as a noun, it's like a person who represents a group.
Right, like the delegates from all the different countries met for the peace talks.
Got it. And then there's delegation, which is a group of delegates, right?
Exactly. Like the delegation presented their ideas at the conference.
Okay, cool. Now let's jump into the digital world with delete. We all know what that delete button does, right?
Oh, yeah. It means to get rid of something, usually digital information, like I accidentally deleted all my vacation photos.
Oh, no. Or please delete that embarrassing comment from my post.
Exactly. But it can also be used metaphorically, like he wanted to just delete those painful memories.
All right, so it's about erasing something, whether it's real or just in your head.
Yeah.
Okay, from the digital world to something more delicate. Let's talk about, well, delicate.
Delicate is all about something fragile, you know, easily broken. Like that antique vase is so delicate, it looks like it could break with a sneeze.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen those.
Yeah.
Or like, the surgery was a delicate procedure requiring the surgeon's best skills.
Right. It can also describe a sensitive situation, like the peace talks were at a very delicate stage.
Right, any wrong move could mess everything up. Okay, on to a big one. Democracy. We hear this word a lot these days. What does it actually mean?
Well, basically, it's a system of government where the people have the power, you know, they vote and stuff.
Right, like the country became a democracy after years of being ruled by a dictator.
Exactly. Or like one of the most important things in a democracy is freedom of speech.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And democratic is the adjective, right?
Yeah.
Describing something related to democracy.
Right. Like they used a democratic process to make the decision.
So it's all about fairness and people having a say.
Totally. Okay, now for a slightly scarier word. Demon. Sounds kind of spooky.
Yeah, it does. Like those old stories about demons and devils.
Exactly. But we also use it to describe someone who's like super skilled at something. Like she's a demon on the tennis court.
Right. Or he's a demon for work, always putting in the extra hours.
So it can be scary or impressive depending how you use it.
True.
Yeah.
True. Okay, what about demonstration? It makes me think of protests.
Yeah, that's one way to use it. Like the students held a big demonstration to protest climate change.
Right. But it can also be like showing how something works.
Yeah, like the chef did a cooking demonstration to show everyone how to make the dish.
Okay, so it's all about showing something, whether it's an opinion, a skill, or whatever. Now, denial. This one's about refusing to face reality, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like when you just can't accept something that's true, especially if it's painful. Like she was in denial about the breakup, couldn't believe it was over.
Right. Or like the company was in denial about their role in the pollution.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a way of protecting ourselves, but it's not always healthy.
Okay, I get it. How about denounce? This one feels pretty serious.
Oh, yeah. It's a strong word. It means to, like, publicly criticize something you think is wrong. Like, the organization denounced the country's human rights abuses.
So you're making it clear that you don't agree with something.
Exactly. You're condemning it. Okay, let's lighten things up a bit. What about dense? What pops into your head when you hear that?
I think of something thick or crowded.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like a forest so thick you can barely see through the trees.
Right, or like a city with tons of people packed in.
Exactly. Or even a book that's really hard to understand. You could say, that philosophy text was so dense.
Ah, yeah. So it can describe physical things and even ideas.
Right. And of course, we have density, which is the noun form. Like the density of the fog made it hard to see.
Okay, I see the connection. Now, depart. It's just a fancy way of saying leave, right?
Pretty much. But it's usually for something planned or scheduled, like the plane is set to depart at 8 a.m.
Oh, okay. Or like, she departed for her trip to Europe, feeling really excited.
Yeah, exactly. It can also mean like a change in direction. The artist departed from his usual style.
Interesting. Okay, how about dependence? That's about relying on something, right?
Yeah, you got it. It's like needing something or someone for support. Like babies are totally dependent on their parents.
Right. Or like the country's dependence on oil imports made it vulnerable.
Exactly. It can also be unhealthy, like he struggled with his dependence on drugs.
So it's about needing something to function. Now, dependent is the adjective form, right?
You know it. Like the project's success is dependent on getting the funding.
Okay, that makes sense. Next up, depict. It sounds kind of artsy.
It is. It's like showing something in a picture, a story, whatever. Like the painting depicts a beautiful sunset over the ocean.
Ah, I can picture it. Or the book depicts life in ancient Rome.
Right on. It's about creating a representation of something.
Got it. Okay. Deploy. This one always makes me think of the military.
Yeah, it's definitely used there, like the general deployed troops to the area.
Right. But it can also be used for technology, like the company deployed its new software update.
Totally. Or even in a personal way, like she deployed all her charm to win him over.
Interesting. So it's about strategic placement of something. And deployment is the noun form, right?
Yep. Like the deployment of the new system was a success.
Cool. All right, last word. Deposit. I always think of putting money in the bank.
That's a common one, like, I need to deposit this check.
But it can also be about putting something down physically.
Yeah, like the flood left deposits of mud everywhere.
Okay. Or like in geology, over time, mineral deposits formed in the cave.
You got it. Lots of different uses for that one.
Wow, we covered a lot today. From dedicated artists to delicate situations and even some spooky demons.
We did. And now you've got 30 new words to add to your vocabulary arsenal.
So go out there and deploy your new word power. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.